Hi, Dr. Thompson. This is Jeannet Pierre. Welcome to my Week 5 Summative Assessment, Online Content and Emotion. Introduction. As social media marketing specialists, much light has been exposed on the correlations between online content and emotional behavior. We have been noticing what type of content influencers put out on public to provoke specific emotional responses, whether video, pictures, threads that can potentially go viral. Our team has put together a program that can help new content creators learn how to go viral, but there is caution with popularity or when virality becomes the norm of the moment. This video will be the first pilot in a sequence of videos pertaining to the online social media influence going viral and obtaining of sustaining followers. According to Kemp et al. 2021, the purpose of current research is to examine the influence that social media has on emotional being and consumption. That was from the article Instant Gratification Examining the Influence of Social Media on Emotions and Consumption. Going viral influential factors. Virality that drive influential factors regarding content include activation, physiological stimulation. There was an analysis conducted by New York Times most emailed list pertinent to further uncertain yet factual elements, revealing that positive content is much more viral potential than negative content. Nevertheless, the connection between emotion and social transmission is more complicated than the content being presented. Berger et al. 2024 stated content that evokes either high arousal positive emotions or negative emotions, anger or anxiety, tends to be more viral. That was from Emotional and Virality, What Makes Online Content Go Viral. On the opposite side of this figurative coin, content that induces low arousal or that turns off emotions, like sadness, is less viral than most people might imagine. Emotions play a role in how people interact with content. Sensations can play a substantial role in how people interact with the content they see. This can be media of any form: social media, radio listening, movie watching, or even activities such as jogging, singing, dancing, journaling, cooking, etc. Social media technologies, SMTs, have very strong effects on consumers' feelings, reactions, and emotions due to the necessity it provides, the instant endorphins it releases, and probable reciprocation that is exchanged via work, school, and or social engagements. Users of technology are aware of how energy is being tracked online from messages, ads prompted by algorithm database, and notifications received, or the updates, views, and posts they entertain. The emotional effects are further explained when users mutually create, share, and comment on online content. This creates a user content trail. The study emphasizes the value and importance of recognizing how the purpose of SMTs is linked to the emotional life of users. 1. In individual male Generation X is the first example. Momentary state of consciousness can be melancholy. This state can trigger the impulse to choose a media form of activity or a coping mechanism to supplement this feeling. Let us say they choose to go online and see what their friends are doing, or scroll through social media to see what will distract their temporal state. They might see a video posting of cute kittens and puppies, hypothetically speaking. This might change how the person originally felt before venturing down technology lane. Media choice, purpose, mood altering. The second example is a female instructor baby boomer that chooses the medium of classical radio or listening to vinyl records. The simple act with a nice cup of chamomile tea with raw honey, reading a physical newspaper might perhaps create a sense of tranquility. Notice the generation mentioned to create a picture of assumed consistent status quo atmosphere that works for this type of individual. Purpose, source of relaxation, mood stabilizers. My final illustration will be a non-binary cis female post-millennial Generation Z individual that likes scrolling through social media while watching a movie, snacking, and softly playing music in the background at the same time. vividly expressing her emotionally engaged states between being shocked by what she read in a text or in a tweet, and then shared in a text, and eventually being debated about in school, all while behaving as a lightning rod channeling the collective moods that play like notes on sheet music, with the unpredictable yet often short attention span commonly associated with this generation. Purpose, source of entertainment, mood stabilizer. How having access to information impacts the emotion of individuals. Having access to information such as internet can open up numerous learning, educational, and work opportunities. How about throwing in scenarios of emergency, political events, and or natural disasters? One, let us pretend your hypothetical child traveled to a different state for college. The only way you can get in contact with them was through instant messaging due to their phone being turned off or silenced for school purposes, quote unquote. The positive reinforcement of having internet access during this time period is comforting for the parent and for the child. The emotional impact of having access technology would keep both parties relieved and content for each other's safety. Two, having access to political events such as presidential election can be particularly essential for public and private policies, educational resource of information, and countless standard regulation. Kolosky T. 2024 stated, your digital trail is a critical tool for campaigns, but the process starts in the real world where long-standing techniques and to collect data about what you can see to be useful indicators of how you'll vote. This in itself can come with feelings of ease and discomfort. On one hand, getting ads that can predict the services and products that you already purchased can help introduce new companies and or products or maintain what works for you consistently. On the other hand, some individuals might perceive information resurfacing as not okay and a bit like they're losing their privacy. Three, having access to information during a national disaster can help you prepare for it. For example, cell phone amber alerts, making informed decisions, encouraging accountability pertinent to safety and recovery, supply shortages, where to get supplies, building trust with leaders. In hindsight, I cannot really recall a natural disaster that personally put me in a discontented mood or state of being. Due to living in South Florida at the time, generally granting civilians access to the data collected by disaster response agencies can encourage trust, loyalty, and enable individuals and societies to make educated choices concerning their security and resilience. Weighing the need for information protection with the values of simplicity, transparency, and citizen liberation is a complicated challenge that requires careful reflection and the organization of clear procedures and policies. The emotional impact of having this type of access handy can save someone's life. How restricting access to information impacts the emotion of individuals. Now, restricting the access to information during a natural disaster, an emergency, or in a political event can have emotions that include anger, fear, catastrophe, and skepticism. One, in the first example, the hypothetical child traveling to a different state for college with social media contact only. If you did not have access to internet because of electric outage, and you saw in the news in that specific area your child lived in, chances are you would feel anxious, angry, and agitated, to say the least. To the second example, not having access to produce the results for presidential elections, most people would be in lost in disbelief with the shock and anticipation that would cause lots of anxiety. It might even cause panic and speculation of tampering with votes on some levels. Three, the third example, the national disaster. If all media just shut down and no one could get any information about how to prepare, how big the natural disaster was, where it was coming from, where it was going to hit, and so forth, that would cause a mass hysteria in the region it could possibly affect. Content creators, trigger warnings, and why. Creators should consider including trigger warnings in their content that may invoke negative emotional responses to protect everyone reading their content. This is something I had to learn the hard way. My first experience on social media brought me to self-help PTS groups. In the early 2000s, I have yet to learn as many coping mechanisms as I do now. A title that read "Trigger Warning." Following this title, there were 40 vertical periods or dots indicating uh, be prepared for what you're about to see, indicating fight through it and take a chance with the PTSD, or flight, just leave the group. At first, I kept leaving the group, but then I kept seeing the trigger warning, so I stayed out of curiosity, and I did see a shocking video. But I was in therapy at the time, so my therapist helped me process what I was seeing and got me through the trigger warning. But had the trigger warning not been there and I just saw the video without the warning, it would have put me in a state of shock. Back then I would have been in a panic attack mode. So that's why trigger warnings are helpful. It's like a heads up, like watch out. It's basically like a yellow sign getting you ready for the red light. So that's what that's for. If you create content that is shocking, consistently, but if not, then it's not necessary. Conclusion: what do you suppose content creators should keep in mind when wanting to go viral and understanding human emotions? Consider what research says about the promise of positivity in content or high resonance content. Establishing a connected community built on good rapport requires making an emotional bond with your followers, whether you will pull at their heartstrings or make them laugh until they're crying out tears of joy. Get in touch with the feelings and topics you want your audience to associate with your brand or persona. Use your content to make them feel like they can trust you. Um, Count on your expertise. Make them feel like you understand them. Always think critically and consider backlashes, although transparency, vulnerability, and a hint of mystery can help keep the audience's attention longer, aiding in the content going viral. Thank you so much for previewing my auto video, Dr. Thompson. It's always been a pleasure. Thank you. This is Jeannet Pierre once more.